Welcome back to the show where we run you through all the Dolphins news you need to know about. And man, oh man, oh man, oh man, are we so far away from that 3-0 start out the gate. Obviously this team is vastly different than it was from week 1 to now. This team could not be more different. Like, their roster could not be more different, which leads us into the box score. Dolphins 21, Packers, or 21. The Dolphins 12, Packers 31. It was actually a pretty close game up until about the fourth quarter, I want to say. Or really the third quarter. Or towards the end of the third quarter. The Packers scored 14 in the third, 3 in the fourth. And, we're going to get into it. So I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but we'll start with the defense, which was the strongest group of the day. Aaron Rodgers finished 19 for 28, 199 yards for 2 touchdowns. Receiving, Davante Adams finished with 4 catches for 57 yards for 2 touchdowns. I can never pronounce his name right, but he's been a very good rookie for the Packers. Number 83, he caught 6 catches for 44 yards. Mercedes Lewis had 1 grab for 30. Aaron Jones, 3 catches for 27. Lance Kendricks, 2 for 24. Jimmy Graham, 1 for 14. Now, if I told you that Aaron Rodgers was going to finish with 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, Davante Adams was going to finish with 57 yards on 4 catches, you would have thought that either this game would have been close, or we probably would have won this game. And unfortunately, that was not the case. The secondary played pretty well. Other than the terrible touchdown that we gave up, which probably wouldn't have mattered to me anyway, because the offense couldn't do anything unless they got helped by some other unit on the team. Was just that touchdown that we gave up. Really, was just bad football. Obviously, it was a busted coverage. It looked like Xavier Howard was running like a deep third or something. Like, I don't know. He was doing something zone coverage wise, and I don't even know what he was looking at. It looked like he was looking at another defender on that play. It was very, very, very weird. It didn't look like he was looking at Aaron Rodgers, which is what you're supposed to do in zone. But who knows what all happened on that play. Either way, it was really bad, and that was probably the worst play the secondary gave up. I thought the secondary by far had the strongest day. There were plays that they gave up that was not their fault. There were third downs where the pass rush just wasn't getting there. The worst one was the one where they were backed up on their own goal line, and Robert Quinn just got straight up posted up by Bakhtiari. Didn't let him go by him. And then Aaron Rodgers was able to, I think he broke the pocket, or maybe he even stood in there, and Davante Adams completely changed his route and ended up finding him. And he made it look like a little out on the sideline, but Xavier actually had really good coverage on that. It was just there was a couple plays like that where we just didn't get enough pass rush. And the Packers are a pretty good pass blocking team if you're just going to rush like 4 or 5. I felt like the secondary played the best out of any of the groups. I mean, they came up strong on some really hard downs to defend Aaron Rodgers on. 3rd down and 2, 4th and 2, we locked the receivers up pretty good. Even when there were times where he even tried to extend the play on those down and distances, and he couldn't find anyone open. So that's pretty impressive, especially when we're talking about this offense and what Aaron Rodgers can do when he breaks the pocket. I felt like the secondary played pretty well. They forced turnovers in terms of 4th down. Like I just said, like defending on any kind of short yardage situation when the other team's passing, not to mention they have 12 out back there passing the football, is one of the most difficult downs to defend. It's the most difficult down to defend on a pass play, especially when you're going up against a quarterback like that. So, kudos to them. I felt like they played well enough to win for sure. I think they played above and beyond, and to be honest with you, it's the best group that I look forward to down the road, especially since we strengthened it with Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's just been a godsend to this point in the season. He's by far been the best player that we've had all year, and he's a rookie. He's been consistent each and every single week. He does his job every single week. He goes above and beyond what we ask him to do, playing 3 different positions every game. So yeah, like I said, Xavier's had a very good season. He's played some pretty good receivers and done a pretty decent job against them. He's played well enough at his position on a weekly basis for us to win multiple games this year. It's unfortunate that our offense is so, except maybe the Detroit and Houston game where our defense just played terrible. But other than that, which is just 2 games, they've played pretty well. I guess New England you could throw in there, which is 3. But other than that, I felt like our defense has played pretty well across the board. Well, I guess Chicago too. Now I'm starting to rattle off some games. But I feel like for the most part, individually, Xavier has played very well throughout these 2 games. In the secondary, there's a lot of young players on this defense that are going to be very good players. When you talk about Vincent Taylor, Xavier Howard, Mika Fitzpatrick, I'm forgetting some people here. Cornell Armstrong has played well since he's been in. Oh, obviously Jerome Baker, who's been a star for this team. Raekwon McMillan, who's played well. We just have a lot of young talent on that side of the ball that I'm excited about. So at least there's that bright spot. But again, I felt like the secondary had the best day out of any of the other positional groups. And let's talk about the defensive line, who did not have the greatest day in the world in terms of an all-around performance. Aaron Jones finished with 15 carries for 145 yards. He averaged 9 yards a touch. He had 2 touchdowns. And after that, Aaron Rodgers finished with 6 carries with 21, which most of his runs, they were, they hurt. But I think most of the time on drives that he did do that, they didn't really come out with any points, if I'm not mistaken. So it is what it is. But we did a really good job of covering our men when he did break the pocket, for the most part. And again, Aaron Jones, I think he had 90 some odd yards in the first quarter, or something crazy like that. Schematically, I want to start there with the running, because it was absolutely terrible. But Matt Burke could say all the stuff he wants to about we're not in our right gaps, all this. And the Packers, if you watch what the Packers are doing on offense, they attacked the middle of the defense in the running game. All of their big yardage, or big plays, I'm talking about touchdown potential plays, came up the middle. That's schematics. If you watch that game, the linebackers are spread out really pretty far. Obviously there's no one over the center. The ends are really wide. There's nobody in the middle of the field. And that's schematically. That's how they're lining up. Has nothing to do with physical anything. Is he just that stupid? I don't understand. He needs to, seriously, we just need to run a base 4-3 system. It honestly is ridiculous, man. And again, he can say all he wants in that press conference, that this and that and this and that. He has to look at himself, man, because he is just not. He got outcoached by Mike McCarthy, straight up. Their game plan hurt. They obviously knew what they wanted, and they got what they wanted, and it worked for them. But it's just self-scouting, dude. This has happened to us too many times this season. This is probably, other than the New England game, the best way another team's exploited it. The Rams are dealing with the same problem that we are with the run defense, and they're running basically the same who am I thinking about? The Rams? I think I'm thinking of a different team. It might be the Rams, though. Let me know down in the comment section below. But there's another team that's running the wide 9 right now. Believe it or not, it's having the same kind of issues that we are. It's just, it's annoying. I don't like the scheme. None of us have liked it. And I know, because I do the fan Q&A every single week, and intelligent fans that recognize that kind of stuff. And it's just frustrating, man. And it is what it is. Because anytime our defense, I don't know, man. Schematically, I just wish we would change it. But obviously we're not going to. It's just really unfortunate. Matt Burke's the philosophy of this defense is to get after the passer, but if they're ripping off 80-yard runs and getting 10 yards a carry almost, he averaged 9 yards a carry. then what the heck is the point of running the defense? You have to be good on first and second down. That's the name of the game. We have to put them in as many third down situations as we possibly can. Then we can rush the passer. And guess what? If you have talented defensive ends, it doesn't matter where they line up or how they line up, whether it's wide of the line of scrimmage or not. They'll get the job done. It's just super frustrating. And to be honest with you, that, every time, how Robert Quinn, the master of those stunts, I was complaining about that earlier, like it hasn't really worked. If the wide nine, it's easier for them to, to pass off blockers and communicate when there's really no pressure in the middle of the defense because everybody's so wide on the football. It's kind of harder to run that kind of stuff, and it's just I don't know. I don't know. It's just frustrating. In terms of the linebackers, I thought we blew some assignments at times because they were running the ball so well. Obviously, that Mercedes Lewis play was big. It was a 30-yard gain for one of the slower tight ends in the league. He was mainly a blocker at this point of his career and has been for a while. So that was probably the only big play that we gave up in terms of... obviously, again, schematically, those runs, bro, like... They basically, the biggest run, or one of the bigger runs early on, it might have been the biggest one. That was just a draw play, a simple draw play to attack the middle of the field, and everybody's been doing. New England kills us with it every time we play them. It is what it. It is what it. I don't know else to say about the whole situation, other than the same things I've been saying about it. It sucks. It sucks. Now let's get into the we went through everything on defense. Let's get into the offensive side of the football, which is where I think I'm most frustrated for a lot of different reasons, and I think we'll save it for the fan Q&A. But a lot of people are mad at Adam Gase, which I don't understand. Still don't understand. Start with the running game because we're gonna rant about the passing game. Frank Gore finished with 13 carries for 90 yards. He averaged almost 7 yards a carry. Kenny Drake finished with 8 carries for 27. He averaged 3 yards a carry. Now people are gonna ask me, well, why isn't Kenyon getting more carries? I think it's pretty obvious why Kenyon's not getting more carries. At this stage of his career and how the offense, we really struggle to get third down and longs. Frank Gore doesn't lose yards on his runs. Like, even if the play's blown up, he usually, for the most part, gets back at least back to line of scrimmage. Kenyon Drake is not as decisive as Frank is. He doesn't have the feel for the game that Frank does. And he's young, obviously. Hopefully he'll learn that. That's why he doesn't get as many carries as Frank does. It's because Adam says it after every game, you want to stay ahead of the chains, you want to have positive plays, you don't want to have negative plays, especially since how the offense has been playing. So that is why Kenyon Drake doesn't get as many carries as Frank Gore. So yeah, I felt like we had a really good game plan. I thought Adam Gase had a really good game plan. Unfortunately, we weren't able to execute that in the passing game, but in the running game, we were able to run the ball. Some of the unbalanced stuff that we've done. This running game has completely changed for Adam's first 2 years. He's really tried to make it, and like I've said, we haven't ran that out, that stretch outside run play as much as we have in the past, and because of our inability to execute it. It's really, if you've noticed, it's really cut down on the holding plays. We've been running a lot of quick hitter runs, where there's not a lot of movement from the offensive line. There's not a lot of stress on them in the running game. It's pretty much just stand your man up and let the running back either go downhill, or some of it's really creative where we have people motioning in the backfield. And I think that's really helped out this football team. And that's smart. That's obviously knowing personnel, tailoring that to what they can do well, and fixing the issues that we've had in the past. And I thought he's done a very good job of that. And like I said, I don't understand. Let's go through the passing game. Brock Osweiler finished with 23 completions, he had 37 attempts, 213 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Danny Amendola, 7 catches for 72 yards, average 10 yards a catch. Devontae Parker, 5 catches for 43. Kenny Stills, 2 for 26. Leonte Crew, 1 for 20. AJ Derby, 1 for 13. Frank Gore, 2 for 12. Kenny Drake, 2 for 11. Mike Gesicki had one of the hardest 5 yards I've ever seen on his catch on a flat route, which, Brock Osweiler loves to throw. I just don't understand what you guys want Adam to do with this team and this personnel. I mean, it's god awful. Our quarterback is legitimately terrible. He's done the best he can with him. He should have thrown so many interceptions in this game that the Packers just straight up dropped. So many interceptions. They dropped 3 picks, bro. He should have 4 interceptions if they could catch. So he missed wide open receivers. He missed reads. He drops his eyes too much. He runs into the blitz. My brother watched this game with me, and he's like, dude, it seems like every time he runs into pressure, I'm like, it's just something we got to deal with. He gets way too antsy in the pocket. He doesn't trust his offensive line at all. I know that we have backup tackles in there, and sometimes we haven't given him the greatest pass protection, but there were times where he did not need to escape the pocket, and he took unnecessary sacks. He missed Devontae Parker for a touchdown before halftime, which would have given us the lead at half. Not to mention the multiple other reads that he missed, and we can't push the ball down the field. That element, everybody's talking about, I've seen articles from the Miami Herald and stuff of that nature. The big play of this offense that we've relied on when Tannehill was in here, and it's one of the reasons we went to the playoffs in 2016 and had success in that 3-0 start, is our ability to push the ball down the field and take those shots in certain moments of the game. And we haven't been able to do that with Brock Osweiler because he can't do that very well, and he hasn't been able to do that his entire career at a high level. So that element of our game has completely been taken out. He can't make any big boy throws whatsoever, and I don't care what you think of Ryan Tannehill. There is a compilation on YouTube of all of his deep throws. I want you to go watch that. I don't care what you say about Ryan Tannehill. He has made some very difficult throws over the course of his career. Just go watch that video. He has made some sick throws. I can tell you right now, Brock Osweiler couldn't make that throw against Tennessee that won us that game. He couldn't make that throw against Buffalo that won us that game in 2016. I could go on and on and on about throws that Tannehill has made to win us games. Those are the things that Brock cannot do and Tannehill can do, and that has been sorely missed in this offense. Not to mention that Tannehill wouldn't have missed Devontae Parker in the Jets, Danny Amendola and the Jets. That's to name a few. Not to mention the misreads that Brock Osweiler just cannot see for some reason. That touchdown he missed to Devontae Parker, that's ridiculous, bro. It's basically the same play that we had in Houston that he missed. That's 7 off the board right there. That's the lead before halftime. Beautiful call by Adam Gase. The Packers sniffed blood in the water since our offense has been struggling terribly. Adam Gase called a shot play. We basically stretched the entire field and had what we wanted. I think Jahari Alexander fell down on the route, and Devontae blew right by him, and we had what we wanted, and we couldn't hook up on it. And at the very least, that would have been a field goal. It could have been a touchdown. Very high. I would say there's a very good chance that he would have scored a touchdown on that. Devontae Parker obviously ran a 4.3. He's a really good run after the catch receiver coming out of college. There's no reason for me to doubt that he would have scored on that play. So, it is what it is. He's just a very bad quarterback. Not to mention that we've had other injuries. When we talk about Albert Wilson, who's our best receiver. If you think about all the wins that we've had since he's been the starting quarterback for this team, he gets zero credit for any of them. The Chicago Bears game, Albert Wilson turned into God and led us to a victory. The Jets game, he didn't even score a touchdown. So he hasn't done anything for this team. He hasn't made it better. He's made it worse. There was an article that came out that I don't have with me right now that I wish I had. I think we talked about that in the last podcast, where his teammates unanimously or anonymously, I should say unanimously, anonymously told a reporter that he's holding the team back everywhere Brock goes. His teammates have said that. It's just I mean, he is a terrible, terrible, terrible quarterback. Terrible quarterback. And I've said that before on this podcast, before he was even a Dolphin, when there was rumors that we were going to trade for him when Tannehill got hurt. He is a terrible quarterback. I said after the Lions game or the Bears game, I can't remember which one, that maybe I was wrong about Brock. He's playing well. I'm an idiot for even thinking that. I'm a total idiot for even thinking that. Brock is what he is. He's a terrible, 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 terrible quarterback. He's not good at what he does. At all. And as a Dolphins fan, knowing that if we had a better quarterback playing that game, we would have won it, or at least it would have been a very close game. I mean, getting all those we got 3 turnovers, dude. I don't know if that's even counting the 4th down conversion. We were in the red zone multiple times this game. Couldn't score a lick. Brock brings zero playmaking ability, dude. If there's anybody free, he can't make them miss. He can't make a defensive tackle miss, dude. He cannot run a defensive tackle. In today's game, if you want to, there's obviously exceptions. The only exception right now, to be honest with you, there's probably 2, and that's Drew Brees and Tom Brady. Those are the only really, really, really good, like, MVP caliber pocket passers that we have left. I mean, Big Ben can still scoot. We saw that against the Panthers, which, I think he had that big first down run in that game, and it's just, Brock can't do any of those things. He just can't, dude, and it's unfortunate. I'm sick and tired of watching this. We've watched bad quarterback play for the last 2 years now. It's unfortunate, and if he costs Adam Gase's job, I'm gonna be very, very upset. This has nothing to do with him, dude. Tannehill hasn't started an entire year since Adam has gotten here. He hasn't had a starting quarterback, so all of those Adam Gase haters can go jump off. I shouldn't say that. That's way too far. But because I just disagree with you guys. Just to just put it plainly, I completely and utterly disagree. I don't think. I mean, we haven't had good quarterback play in the last 2 years. It's been our turnover margin has been terrible, and that has a lot to do with the quarterback play. I'm sick and tired of watching it each and every single Sunday. Our defense, if Aaron Rodgers had our defense, dude, like, if Tom Brady, no, not Tom Brady, but some of these quarterbacks, Drew Brees had our defense, like, so in some of the defenses that we've had in the past, like, we would be a playoff team every year. And I know that's like, oh, well, yeah, it's Drew Brees, and it's, Aaron Rodgers. So if we had Andrew Luck, he would not have missed the playoffs any of his years. This defense has been good enough to win for a long time. It has been in Miami for years now. I mean, obviously there's been exceptions to it. We've had bad. I mean, 2016's defense probably wasn't the greatest, but we still made the playoffs in terms of talent. But like I said, there have been defenses that are playoff worthy. We just have not been able to break through to the other side yet. It's very frustrating. This offseason, let's say Tannehill doesn't come back. Who knows if he will, and we have a story on that here in a second. If he doesn't come back, if he doesn't play well when he comes back, that has to be the top priority in this offseason. There's nobody to draft, though. That's the unfortunate thing, and we'll get into more of that here in a second. But in closing, in terms of how the offense performed, it was god-awful. Like I just said, we should have had a ton of turnovers. The quarterback played well below average. Even though that this offense is extremely injured, especially at the receiver position and on the offensive line, there were still plays to be made that were not made. And it's unfortunate. It's just bad, really. And Adam has zero. I don't care what Adam says. Adam has no confidence in him as a player. No, I don't think any of us do. I mean, you try calling plays for that guy back. It's not easy. It's not easy to have success with a quarterback, or with a quarterback that way. And I don't want to be an idiot and be like, oh, like have this hate that comes out of me towards people that don't like Adam Gase. I just am very emotional over this loss, and I think we're all emotional over this loss. And I didn't mean it in that way, and I hate when people do that kind of stuff. It's very stupid. It's nothing personal towards anyone, and I'm not even mad at those people that don't like Adam Gase. I'm mad at the result that I see every Sunday. It's very, very frustrating. So yeah, I mean, the offense was just god awful. So let's move on. I mean, we got all those turnovers. We got in the red zone that many times, and we couldn't put the ball in the end zone. And yeah, I mean, we can't move the pot. I mean, there's so many things you can do with Tannehill that we can't do with Brock. It's unfortunate. So basically, the news stories, all of them come from Pro Football Rumors, which is just a news site for the National Football League. In short, because I do want to get to the fan Q&A, Jakeem Grant did not tear his Achilles, although he will miss time. A return date is not clear at this point, at least from what I'm reading. Maybe there have been some updates since when you guys are listening to this podcast. Leave those down in the comment section below if there is, but there is no real timetable as of right now, but he did not tear it, which is good. And he most likely will return for the season, which is even better. Hopefully after the bye, and they're going to have a complete week off. Hopefully that helps, and then he can return for the Colts game. In terms of Ryan Tannehill, he's officially starting to throw. There's really no timetable that Adam Gase has said, but for Tannehill, he has said that he has set a timetable, or he has set a timetable for the Colts. That's when he wants or intends to return. But we've had reports that he was actually going to play in Green Bay, but he obviously didn't. That's my pugs. Hey, quit. Anyway, as Green Bay, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Green Bay. There were reports that he was going to return to play versus the Packers. Obviously, that didn't happen. So who knows at this point? But with 2 weeks off, hopefully he's ready to go. So yeah, that's basically it for the news. There's really nothing else to report. This kind of stuff is just so stupid. Like I said, this football team is a good team. Notice what I'm saying. And the quarterback is the position as of right now has not been good enough, and it's really bogging the team down, and has lost this football game. So it is what it is. Alrighty, so let's get to the fan Q&A. You guys asked a pretty good amount of questions, 37. This first question comes from Prince of DC, is back. He says, overview of the game. We just did that for almost 30 minutes. But again, I think in short, I felt like the secondary, the defense as a whole, the run defense was god-awful, but the defense as a whole played good enough, and again, we should have had the lead at halftime if it wasn't for a bad throw. So the defense played good enough to win. And, people don't understand, and I'm sure maybe people do understand, this is stupid to say, but as a defense, when you just don't have any confidence in your offense, when you're down a touchdown, when your quarterback just threw one of the worst interceptions to Rashad Breeland, I think that was on second down, by the way, you tend to just don't play as hard as you would if the game was closer. It happens, dude. They're human beings. They understand what is going on. They know who they're playing against, who's Aaron Rodgers, and they also know that who's quarterbacking for the team. That's Brock Osweiler. Not a lot of confidence there. So I guess that's a quick overview of the game. Prince of DC says, how do you feel about Matt Burke? I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because last week I praised him, which it's true. And like I just said, the defense didn't play terrible. They played good enough to win, but their shortcomings were schematic. You know, all those big runs were schematic. So that's something that he needs to figure out, because the talent level is there, and I feel like if we got somebody, and hopefully, if let's say we do, they don't switch the team to a 3-4, that would be stupid, because then we could have to completely change. But we get somebody who runs a 4-3 system well. I don't know who that would be. Obviously, I think a veteran coach like that would be very beneficial to the football team. This next question comes from Tony. He says, do you think we can still make the playoffs? Not if Brock is the quarterback after this bye week. If he is, then we're not going to make the playoffs. I hate to say that, but the way the offense is playing with him and the way he plays football, there's just no chance. We can't utilize any of our talent on the outside because of him. It's just obviously the play sheet is just way shorter. He had, like I said, even if the play breaks down, he has no ability to escape the pocket. The sacks that Ricky Jean-Francois had, Tannehill could have easily evaded those in Detroit. There was a couple plays in this game where the DT got, it was good protection for the most part. And there were some times where, like I just said, there was good protection and he ran into pressure. Things like that. Say what all you want about Tannehill, doesn't have any feel in the pocket in terms of he doesn't feel anybody coming. He stands in there like a statue at times. And again, there's a time and a place for that. Sometimes that's a good thing when you stand in there, take a hit, and make a throw. At least Tannehill doesn't drop his eyes and completely take his eyes from downfield, which is the dumbest thing you can do as a quarterback. Your entire job is to keep your eyes downfield, no matter what, and make a throw. They're a quarterback. I'm not saying that Tannehill is any of these guys, but when Tannehill does break the pocket, he keeps his eyes downfield. He doesn't drop his eyes. Obviously, Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers, they're the best at it in the National Football League. Brock Osweiler can't do any of that. Every time he runs out of the pocket, he has to look at the defensive line and what they're doing, and that puts your team at a disadvantage. I don't even know what the heck the question was about. Excuse me. So do you think... Oh, yeah. Do you think... Yeah, so if we don't have that side of football, then we're not going to make the dang playoffs. It's just, and it's unfortunate because the AFC is stumbling at this point in terms of who's going to get that 6th seed. Everybody's pretty much on a losing streak. We talk about Cincinnati, Baltimore. Any of the real threats to get that 6th seed have not been playing well. And we haven't been able to take advantage of that. So, yeah, if Brock continues to be the starter, no. I don't think and Adam needs to make a decision in this bye week. Because if Tannehill cannot go, then he needs to switch the quarterbacks with anybody at this point. Jonathan, this next question comes from Tony, this comes from Jonathan. He says, why can't the Dolphins just suck? Imagine getting Nick Bosa, I'm thinking you're talking about Nick Bosa, this year, and Tua next year. Our team would be so lit, especially with Minka X and praying to God Charles Harris. The way Charles Harris has been playing, I don't think that's something Charles Harris, I think his ceiling can be Brandon Graham, just getting a lot of pressures, not necessarily sacks. I think he'll be more of a player like that. Hopefully he could turn into something like that. But, yeah, we need a quarterback pretty bad right now. And hopefully Tannehill, I still do believe Tannehill is that guy. And hopefully he proves that to the doubters when he comes back. Hopefully comes back against the Colts. Corporate Gamer says, and it sucks that Brock has been the way he's been, because in certain games this year that we've played, Tannehill would have helped us win, or at least be more competitive in some of these games. Brock, I don't think are taking for granted how bad he's been, bro. He's been very bad, Brock has, so it's just unfortunate. Corporate Gamer says, our main focus going into free agency be finding a run-stopping defensive end? No, William Hayes unfortunately got injured, and he was that for us. But I think we need a whole schematic change, in my opinion, but I don't think that should be our number one priority. I think our number one priority in free agency probably should be, I'm trying to think what that should be. there's a lot of spots that we have a lot of young talent that I think will develop nicely. So maybe, yeah, maybe you're. I mean, maybe we add some more versatility at certain positions. So maybe you're right, actually. Jeremy, this next question comes from Jeremy. He says, Osweiler in the offense has not scored a touchdown in 9 quarters. Is it time to give Fales a shot? He can't be much worse than Brock. Yeah, I guess, because that's, we're kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place right now. There's not much we can do. So I guess. David Fales isn't good either. He's not very good at all, so... I mean, it is what it is, dude. We are in a very bad situation right now at that position. It's the most important position on the field, and we're in a very tough spot at it currently. Yeah, I mean, I try anything else at this point. This next question comes from Ron. He says, "Whom do you choose over D lineman Houston at Oliver, or defensive lineman at Alabama Quentin Williams? Who would you choose over?" Who would I choose over those guys? I guess Nick Bosa? Or are you asking me who would I would choose between them? Between them, I would say Williams, probably. Just because of the system he played in. And obviously the conference that he plays in. Mylon or something like that. He says, "I think it's time we stop making excuses for Gase. He needs to find a better play caller because he clearly cannot call plays for us on offense. I understand the injuries and Brock's limitations, but I'm sick and tired of seeing busted screens and Frank Gore inside runs, even the ones we get gains on. Even when Ryan was healthy, we won games for off-gadget plays. Grant's kick returns and individual brilliance from Albert Wilson. Our offense has no identity pre-Tannehill's injury, and we saw that prior to this. What is the direction Gase is trying to lead this football team to? Because I can't see it." It's very interesting. I mean, you're criticizing off of gadget plays, yeah, but so? I mean, that's good coaching. That doesn't hurt. I mean, if you want to say that about Tannehill, I guess you could criticize. I mean, who cares how we score a touchdown? It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't matter how you score as long as you score. So I'm not going to dock Adam for that. But what's the identity of the football team? The short passing game. I would say is the identity of the football team, but we haven't been able to do that very well. We were 3-0, then we hit New England, and nobody's beat New England in New England except the Carolina Panthers, and that was obviously a very, very long time ago. So don't even blame. I mean, everybody struggles on offense. I mean, the Packers scored 17 points up there, so it's not. I don't put too much stock into that game. Obviously, the Cincinnati game was not Adam Gase's fault. It was Tannehill's fault with those 2 terrible turnovers. And obviously, the tackles got hurt. And everybody's like, excuses. There's no excuses. I'm just telling that's a fact. I mean, when you lose your starting tackles and your quarterback, I mean, that's a big deal. That's a very big deal. So, yeah, I don't feel like... I just don't... Plus, it was at the beginning of the season. Who knows if the offense would have continued to get better? Like, at that point with Tannehill. I mean, who can say for sure? That was the first month of the season that Tannehill played, and then he got hurt. So, not even the first. I mean, obviously, September was over. That was the first game of October, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, I just don't see it. I get what you're saying, but he has limitations with his personnel. I don't think it has anything to do with Adam himself. I just disagree. Slug says, "Do we need a new coaching staff?" By the way, I love the show. Appreciate that. Do we need a new coaching staff? No. I think we need better players at certain positions. Quarterback position being the main one. If Tannehill can come back and stay healthy, that's great. But there is an actual possibility that he might not play again this year, which is crazy. Because every time it seems like he's coming back, there seems to be a setback. So, like I said, if he comes back, he doesn't play well, or if he doesn't come back at all, which I don't think if he will come back and not play well. I do not think that. I think when Tannehill comes back, Hopefully he proves people wrong. And I have confidence that he will. But if he doesn't, then we need to do something about the quarterback position, for sure. So I think that would be the first thing that we would need to, figure out. Should the Dolphins look at drafting a quarterback? I would not say in the first round. I don't like any of the quarterbacks in this upcoming draft. Greer doesn't really, do anything super special. Tua obviously is the best quarterback in college football. He's not eligible, draft eligible. Herbert, I guess, is the best, and he really doesn't wow me at all. So there's just not a lot of there's just not a lot there. So yeah, it just sucks. This question comes from Tony. He says, why don't we use Drake more? I kind of answered that earlier. It's just he's indecisive, and the way the offense is playing right now, we can't afford to have 2 to 3 yard losses on first down because we just can't recover from it. So I think I know that's why he's not getting as many snaps as you probably want him to. So that just comes from Jonathan. He says, you think we should draft a quarterback? I think we should draft a quarterback. What about drafting the best player available and waiting until next year? He says, I think we should. He says, what about drafting a I'm confused. What about drafting best player available and waiting till next year to get Tua from Alabama? I think we should do that. Should we get rid of Brock? I think we should never have signed Brock. You think Gase is a good coach. I think he's a fine coach, but I still want another coach. I'm pretty sure there's younger coaches who are better than Gase. As the things Gase does good enough, cough, screen, plays on 3rd and 15, a good coach would have plays to get those 15. No, I disagree with that. But everybody in the National Football League does that. It's not just Adam Gase. Just so happens we get a lot more 3rd and 15s than other teams do. That's the reason you see it as much as you do. If you saw it with if other teams constantly were getting 3rd and 15s on a more consistent basis than other teams, then you would see the same thing. I'm not joking around. If you watch other teams across the National Football League, they throw those screens too, dude. For a perfect example of this, if you watch the Rams play, possibly the best offense in the National Football League, not a lot of 3rd and 15s, dude, at all. Watch the Saints play, not a lot of 3rd and 15s. Watch the Patriots play, not a lot of 3rd and 15s. Ever. Do they ever get 3rd and 15s? That's because they run their offense efficiently and at a high level. If you watch the Patriots play the Titans this past week, when they got a lot of 3rd and long situations, they couldn't convert any of them because the Titans were beating them on 1st and 2nd down. That's just football, dude. No coach. This isn't Madden. I think that's what I mean. It just you don't get 3rd and 15s in the National Football League on a regular basis. Now, if you have Aaron Rodgers, if you have Tom Brady, if you have Drew Brees, you might be a little bit more aggressive in those situations, but even those people aren't super aggressive in those situations. It just depends on the team. I understand what you're saying, but I'm not even joking around. Most teams in that situation are very, very conservative, and seldom, very rarely, do they get those conversions. It's very difficult to do. That is the difference between the Miami Dolphins and someone like the Rams, who are good at running offense. They just don't get in a lot of 3rd and 15s. We do. Why the heck would we want to be in that situation to begin with? I understand these screens and all that, the stuff that you're talking about. Watch the Rams run them. Watch the Patriots run them. They run the same types of concepts. They just run them better than we do. And I think the screen game has been toned down from last year. It's been executed at a way higher level than last year. I mean, look, the Albert Wilson touchdown. Devontae has caught a couple of good screens here and there. I can't even remember the Packers game. I'm trying to think of the Packers game where a screen was just like straight up destroyed. That cost us a drive. There wasn't one. So I just disagree. I think I just look at it differently than other people. I think what I just explained to you That's the reason. And I'm not yelling at you at all, dude. I'm just very passionate about this kind of, I'm passionate. It's just frustrating, and I just disagree. I don't think that has to do with anything. I think that has more to do with the players than it does the coach. Corporate Gamer, this comes from Corporate Gamer. He says, who do you not like? Why do you not like Will Grier? He could really succeed in our offense. He just doesn't do anything exceptionally well. I mean, I think I need to watch more of him. I've only watched a few of his games, and if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I probably need to watch more of him. I think I recently just watched his game against Texas, which he played pretty well. I don't know. There's something about it. Sometimes when you see a player play, and it could just be me, but I just don't see like the it factor. I don't see it with him. I think I probably need to watch more of him. Drew Lock, who I was high on before the season, he has really let me down this season. He has regressed terribly. Like, I don't think I see him succeeding either. Skirbert, I've only watched, to be honest with you, 2 of his games, so I can't really tell you that he's going to be anything special, but from what I've seen, very little from what I've seen. And same thing with Grier. There's nothing that says this guy is he has that special factor to him. I just don't see it with either one of those guys. By the way, dude, I have a stuffed nose, and I probably sound like an idiot right now. I apologize. Plus, obviously, the mic's not very good. I just not feeling too well. Still have stuffed nose. I'm getting better, though. I'm way better than I was last week. Way better. I still kind of have some residual effects from the sickness that I had. Let's see here. JR, this next question comes from JR. And again, I could be totally wrong about Grier, by the way. This next question comes from JR Shelton. He says, do you prefer coffee of tea, LOL? And curious, did you hear about Tannehill is finally throwing without any pain? Your thoughts on that? I didn't know that. I didn't know he was throwing without pain. That's great news if that's true. So hopefully he will come back for the Colts game. And again, like I said, guys, I still believe he's a franchise quarterback. I still believe he can play at a high level. And again, I really miss him because I'm sick and tired of watching Brock Osweiler. Let's see here. This next question comes from Ron. Not just because of that, obviously. I love Tannehill. Which position on the Dolphins roster does Skaggs1383 think is the least talented and should be addressed in the 2019 draft? This is an interesting way of asking that question. Which position on the Dolphins roster does Skaggs1383 think is at least talented and who should be addressed in the 2019 draft? If I'm the GM, and I don't know, dude, there's so many things that are moving around. I don't believe in the quarterbacks anyway, so I probably wouldn't take one in the first round. I definitely wouldn't mortgage anything for one of them. I probably would, if I could. I'm definitely not going to be even close. But Nick Bosa is definitely the best player in the draft, or at least a top 3 player in the draft. So he definitely would be someone, and there's no way we would get our hands on him, but I love Nick Bosa. I would probably say pass rusher. There's just too many plays that we've had this year where we haven't gotten a ridiculously good rush. And not just I want a game changer at that position. We need somebody who could play all 3 downs, who's good in the running game and passing game. Somebody like that. So I would say defensive end. Ron says, if Ross cleans house after season is over, which Harbaugh would you like Ross to hire? If not a Harbaugh, which coach would you hire? That's a great point, by the way, Ron, because Steven had tremendous connections, if you remember, with, I get their team, the two of them, Jim Harbaugh, I think, is the 49ers one. It's not John, or maybe it is John. 49ers Harbaugh and Michigan current Harbaugh. He has strong ties with him. Obviously, Steven is a huge Wolverines fan. He currently coaches the Wolverines. And he had strong connections with him before. I think he just turned down the job or something weird happened, and he just went for San Francisco. But if Adam wasn't in play there, and if, let's just say he does fire him, one of the two would definitely be hired. For sure. But I don't think, hopefully that doesn't happen. Jagpack, this next question from Jagpack. 18. He says, another inept offensive performance. Yes, Brock is terrible, but if we can't see that, why can't Gase? Surely fails can't be worse. Excuse me, I think there's a burp coming. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. The offense has been in the bottom of the third of the league since Gase took over. Hardly the offensive genius we were expecting. Hard truths. Hard truths. Don't be bringing up hard truths, bro. I mean, that's a fact. Probably. I don't know if that's a fact. The third bottom of the third in his first year. I don't think so. I wouldn't think so, but I don't think it's even true for his second year. I could be wrong. Maybe in third down conversions or something like that, but not in total offense. What is the question? Sorry. Sorry, my thing messed up. I'm sure I stalled time. Bottom third of the league, not the true offensive genius that we thought he was. Blah 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 blah. I'm not saying that to you. I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, dude. I don't. I just disagree. I don't think it has anything to do with him. I think it has more to do with personnel, but yeah. I mean, it sucks to watch, trust me. It really does suck. And I'm bring up hard truths, bro. Corporate Gamer says, why is Xavier so underrated? He's playing like a top 1 to top 5 cornerback, or definitely a top 10 cornerback. Why is he so underrated? Because nobody watches us, dude. At all. It is what it is. Cleveland was suffering from the same thing, but they got Baker Mayfield, and obviously, a lot of people like Baker Mayfield, and listen, watching how successful he has that Brett Favre effect or that Peyton Manning effect where people just really like him. So that's why they talk about Cleveland more than they used to. Moving on, we just don't have that kind of a player. And if we were winning more games, obviously, it's hilarious. Some of the franchises get away with, because people care a lot about them. And we talk about the Cowboys. People talk about Jason Garrett every week. How disgusting is that? People be talking about Jason Garrett. For God's sakes, he's terrible at his job. It's just stuff like that. It's just different with us, Mylan says, with our team not said to come back anytime soon. This is did we already read that one? I think we already read this one. We'll just read it again. He says, with our team not said to come back anytime soon, this is the second year straight he's missing the majority of the season, and surely he's got to be cut this summer. We can't pay a guy $26 million who's been average when healthy and who is rarely healthy. If there isn't anyone in the draft that is exciting, would you be opposed to Teddy Bridgewater for until the 2020 draft? Statistically, Tannehill's had a better career than Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think in terms of talent, there is much of a difference. I think Tannehill's more physically gifted and better quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater, in my opinion. And the way I'm talking, dude, this nose, I don't mean to sound like this. It's weird. I hate the way I sound right now. But, no, I wouldn't do that. And again, let's just say, if Tannehill comes back and plays terrible, then obviously I probably would rethink that, but I don't think he will. Mediocrity in Miami says, should Tannehill call it a career? He missed about a quarter of 2016, all of 2017, and a little bit more than a quarter of 2018. We can't rely on someone who can't be healthy most of the time. I don't think he should call it a career right now. I probably would. Again, it would be very difficult to watch the rest of the season with Brock under center. I think we can all agree on that, and I cannot wait for Tannehill to come back. So no, I don't think he should. Depending on what happens when he comes back, is the way I would lean. But I don't expect that to happen. This next question comes from Sam. He says, would you still consider Case or Gase, he meant to say, an offensive genius after talking Cutler out of retirement and signing Brock? 2, Rashad sat out 1 quarter, got 2 scores on us. How do you feel about that? The Rashad, I thought that was stupid. I have no idea why he did that. Listen, that's the dumbest punishment on the planet. That's when Ron Rivera came out for the one play against the Seahawks, Derek Anderson threw a pick. There was no reason for Cam Newton to sit out that play. It's literally a one play. It's stupid. If you're going to punish him, then he shouldn't play the game or even the rest of the season if I was in control of that organization. But he's getting away with it, and he's spoiled, acting like a spoiled brat. He pretty much gets benefited from that. Don't know why, but Yeah, I thought that was very stupid. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. This next question comes from Jonathan. He says, "Do you think we should get Will Grier or Drew Lock in the draft for maybe just to try to get Tua next year? I personally think all three quarterbacks should be good. Would be good to have." Tua's way. He's going to be I can tell you right now, he's going to be a franchise quarterback. I cannot definitively say that Will or Drew will be. I don't think Drew will be. I don't know if Will be. So that's the difference between the two. Like, I know that guy's going to be great. I just don't know if those other two will. This next question goes from Mylan. He says, "If I'm Stephen Ross, I'm putting Grier and Gase on the hot seat for these three backup quarterback decisions alone. Apparently Ross was against Cutler and Brock, yet Grier and especially Gase signed these two jokes to our team, and we are back to square one. We want Gase. What was Gase thinking by signing two backers for 2 years that cost us the season by week 9? That and the Jay Cutler thing, again, that was another situation before, literally right before the season started. Tannehill got hurt. I think we were like 2 weeks into training camp. Or were we 2 weeks? I can't remember, but we were right. The season was just about to start. He had to make a decision. He felt like Jay Cutler. It was either that or Matt Moore, who, I mean, to be honest with you, it's not a big difference between the two. I don't know. It sucks that that Tannehill got hurt. It really does. Ron says, "Which 5 starting offensive linemen would Skaggs have from what is currently on the roster and healthy?" Mine would be left tackle Tunzel, left guard Swanson, center Brindell, Ostiata, right tackle, I think you're saying Jesse Davis. Which 5 starting offensive line would Skaggs have from what is currently on the roster and healthy? Who I just keep? Obviously, yeah, Laramie, Jesse Davis. That's probably about. I mean, Juwan James if he was healthy. I'd probably move Juwan. I don't know what the heck I would do with Juwan. I don't. Depending on who's free agent and who's in the draft, I would. Because the right tackles are so hard to get. I do feel like Juwan, even though he's been inconsistent at times, has played well at other times, and he's a pretty good pass blocking tackle. So. Yeah. And why are you asking questions like it's like you're asking? Are you asking everybody else in the comment section? Or are you asking me these questions? It's very odd to ask a question like that. I don't know. Man, I don't think, dude. I rambled too much. We've only got a few questions left. This next question comes from Pete. He says, "What do you think about the rest of our season? Also, I like our chances with Brock starting better than Ryan Tannehill. How about you?" My simple reason, Brock calls audibles at the line and changes the play a lot. It gets out of bad situations, something Ryan has never learned because we were too busy showing a receiver how to play quarterback. Oh, wow. I cannot disagree with that. First of all, that's not true. Ryan audibles all the time. Go back, there's a mic'd up video, and you don't believe me, go back and watch it, where Tannehill changes the play at the line of scrimmage, hands off to Jay, who gains 60 yards down the field. He's audibled since Gase has gotten here, dude. I could not disagree with more than that, bro. Tony says if Tannehill is healthy the rest of the way, what would happen? We would obviously have a better chance. I just got drifted off by that question. I just don't understand. That's not true. Tannehill is audible since Adam has gotten here. Mediocre in Miami. Why do... And he applies that. This thing keeps messing up. Why do we have absolute worst luck when it comes to injuries? Hope your sickness goes away soon. I appreciate that, Pete. And it is going away. 4 out of 5 of our starting alignment is out. Albert Tannehill, Jakeem, and Devontae were hurt either before or during the game. Not to mention yeah, it sucks, dude. Bad Bandit says Osweiler has proven multiple times that he's absolute worst quarterback in the National Football League. Why is he still on the roster? And here's what I want to say to that person before I get off the podcast. This is nothing personal. I just want to say this. Everywhere Brock goes, this is how disrespectful and how bad Brock Osweiler is. The Green Bay Packers at halftime, their head football coach said, he's going to throw us one eventually. That's how you know you don't have a franchise quarterback. At no point in Tannehill's career did someone say that. about Ryan Tannehill. He said, and I quote, "At some point he's going to throw us one." Was he right? Absolutely. Is he hard? Was that hard to guess? Absolutely not. I just disagree with that, dude. That is crazy to me. There was a couple questions left. I think we can get to them. If I can, God dang it, I just threw my thing. If I can scroll. And again, I'm not just another. I don't want to sound like an idiot or a jerk. I just completely disagree with that. So I'm Skax83, and I'll see you guys in. Can't wait to see you guys in the next one.